The Psychology of Loneliness and How to Feel Connected Again. Level C. 1. Advance. Loneliness is not simply the absence of people. It is the absence of connection, the feeling that nobody truly sees you, understands you, or shares your inner world. You can feel lonely in a silent apartment, yes, but you can also feel lonely at a crowded party, in a busy office, or even surrounded by family. Psychologists define loneliness not as being alone, but as the gap between the relationships we have and the relationships we want. It is an emotional distance, not a physical one. Loneliness has always existed, but modern life has amplified it. We live in a world where communication is instant, but intimacy is rare. We can talk to hundreds of people in a day, yet still feel unseen by all of them. Technology promised connection likes, messages, notifications, but it also created a strange hollow echo. A person can receive interactions every hour and still feel profoundly disconnected, because what the heart needs is presence, not contact. True connection requires something more than rapid replies and smiling emojis. It requires attention, time, vulnerability. Many people today hide loneliness behind achievement. They build careers, maintain polished online lives, travel, upgrade apartments, all while a quiet ache follows them into every success, asking a single question: does anyone truly know me? The modern world encourages independence, strength, self-reliance, but humans were never designed to be solitary. Ancient tribes shared food, raised children collectively, slept side by side for warmth, sang before sleep, and mourned together. To be human once meant to be surrounded. Now, isolation is subtle. It appears not only in empty houses, but in busy hearts. We isolate internally by not sharing what hurts, by pretending we are fine, by fearing we might burden someone if we speak honestly. Loneliness is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is quiet, almost polite. It shows up when you return home and no one asks how your day was, when your phone stays silent, when you laugh at something and realize there is no one next to you to share it with. Human connection requires risk. To be known means to be vulnerable, exposed, possibly rejected. Many people choose the safety of loneliness over the risk of intimacy. It feels less painful, but only at first. Loneliness becomes chronic when it stops being a situation and becomes an identity. When a person begins to believe, not just I am lonely right now, but I am the kind of person no one stays with, no one chooses, no one understands. That shift from condition to identity makes loneliness heavier than silence. It becomes a belief about one's worth. Yet, loneliness has a paradoxical quality. It appears when we need connection most, and it isolates us precisely at the moment when reaching out could heal us. Psychologists say that loneliness affects the brain like hunger. Just as the body cries out for food, the mind cries out for connection. Both are survival signals, not weaknesses. Many people, however, misunderstand it. They think loneliness means failure, that if you feel lonely, something must be wrong with you. But loneliness simply says you are human. The emotional pain of loneliness can feel sharper than physical pain because it attacks the core of human identity. I matter. I belong. I am part of something. Belonging is not a luxury, it is a psychological need. Without it, the mind begins to shrink inward. It ruminates. It compares. It questions its worth. People start thinking they are replaceable, forgettable, invisible. not because anyone said so, but because loneliness whispers it relentlessly. Connection begins not with a crowd, but with one person, one honest conversation, one moment where you allow yourself to be seen without performance. But modern communication has become performance-based. We show curated joy, filtered faces, controlled emotions. We hide sadness behind smile emojis, panic behind short replies, heartbreak behind photos of sunsets. Many souls are exhausted not by life itself, but by the continuous effort to look fine. Loneliness deepens when we feel we must earn connection through success, beauty, productivity, politeness, rather than receive it simply for existing. But the deepest relationships are not transactional. They do not measure your value. They accept you in your unpolished form, in quiet evenings, in ordinary mornings, in the slow breathing of real life. Psychologists note that loneliness also grows when people stop participating in the world, not just socially, but emotionally. They stop expressing, stop reaching, stop risking. Silence becomes easier than explanation. Yet healing does not begin with noise or crowds. It begins with allowing connection, slowly, like sunlight entering a dark room. Sometimes that connection comes not from friendships or partners, but from routine, a familiar cafe, the voice of a librarian, the greeting of a neighbor, the presence of a pet, the rhythm of morning walks. Connection is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is ordinary, almost invisible, yet profoundly healing. Loneliness also requires that we reconnect with ourselves, with our internal landscapes, not just external company. Many people feel lonely because they abandon their inner world in pursuit of approval. They forgot to ask what they feel, what they need, what they fear. To feel connected again, a person must first return home to themselves. This means recognizing emotions without judgment, admitting longing without shame, and accepting that needing others does not make us weak, it makes us alive. Loneliness teaches attention. It slows life down until we can hear the quiet truth of our hearts. It invites us to rebuild connection not through performance, but through honesty. In the quiet space of loneliness, we discover two truths. We cannot live without others, and we cannot connect with others if we are not first connected to ourselves. Loneliness is not only emotional, it is neurological. Scientists discovered that when a person feels lonely for a long time, the brain shifts into a kind of survival mode. It begins to see social interaction not as potential comfort, but as potential threat. The lonely mind becomes alert, cautious, hyper-aware, noticing every pause, every unread message, every invitation that never came. It starts interpreting silence as rejection and neutrality as indifference. This is why loneliness reinforces itself. The brain, trying to protect you, builds walls that keep everyone out, including those who could heal the isolation. Social media complicates this further. It creates the illusion of connection. Hundreds of faces, voices, messages, updates. But most of these interactions are not built for depth, only for stimulation. A heart cannot be fed by a like button. A digital heartbeat typing gives a rush of anticipation, but it cannot replace the warmth of an unfiltered gaze, the tone of a natural voice, or the unedited story of someone sitting across from you, telling you what hurts. We are the most connected generation in history and one of the loneliest. Not because we lack interaction, but because we lack presence. Presence means someone listens not to respond, but to witness. It means being in silence together without discomfort. It means not trying to fix each other, just share breath and honesty. Loneliness fades when we stop performing and start belonging. But how does one rebuild connection after months or years of emotional distance? It does not begin with grand gestures. It begins with one authentic moment, however small. For some, it might be speaking honestly with a friend instead of saying, "I'm fine." For others, joining a book club, learning pottery, volunteering, walking in a community garden, not for conversation, but for shared presence. Humans bond when they share experience, not when they exchange information. Even two strangers can feel connected if they watch the ocean, cook in silence, or paint in the same room. Connection is not always verbal, it is energetic, emotional, sensory. Psychologists say the opposite of loneliness is not company. It is belonging. Belonging means being accepted without having to split yourself into acceptable fragments. It means someone knows your tired days as well as your bright ones. The reason loneliness hurts is the same reason love heals. The brain is built for togetherness. Infants do not survive without touch. Adults do not thrive without it. A hug regulates the heartbeat, softens anxiety, lowers cortisol. Shared laughter resets the nervous system. A voice that says, "I'm here," changes the entire chemistry of the body. This is why loneliness feels like physical pain. The nervous system reads isolation as danger. But reconnection cannot be rushed. It grows slowly, like a shy seed. Start with honesty, even if it is clumsy. Tell someone, "I've been feeling disconnected," not to receive advice, but to release the pressure of pretending to be whole. There is profound strength in admitting emotions without decoration. Loneliness softens when you stop negotiating with it, when you allow yourself to feel it without assuming it defines you. It is a visitor, not a destiny. Connection is also internal. Many people try to cure loneliness by filling life with noise, constant work, entertainment, social scrolling, but never listening inward. To belong to others, you must first belong to yourself. Sit with your thoughts, not as enemies, but as messages. Ask, what do I need today? Whom do I miss? What hurts? What do I truly want to share with the world? Loneliness becomes lighter when it is named. In the quiet honesty of self-recognition, the heart begins to reopen, not all at once, but breath by breath. Sometimes connection arrives unexpectedly. A barista remembering your order, a stranger holding the door, a neighbor saying hello. Tiny gestures carry enormous weight when the heart has been starving for acknowledgement. Connection is not only grand love stories or lifelong friendships. It is the gentle knowing that you are part of the human rhythm. To reconnect is to accept that you do not need to be perfect to be held. Loneliness teaches us the value of small truths, that dinner tastes better shared, that silence is softer when mutual, that sorrow becomes bearable when someone sits beside it. When people allow themselves to be seen as they are without armor, without filters, they rediscover a form of belonging that does not depend on performance. Healing loneliness is not about filling every evening with company. It is about finding relationships where you can exhale. The world is full of noise, distraction, and spectacle. But connection lives in quiet corners, in deep eye contact, in long conversations, in shared tea, in the gravity of presence. Loneliness will visit every soul at times. It is part of being human in a complex, fast, digital age. But it does not have to stay. Connection returns when we stop chasing attention and start embracing authenticity. Not everyone will understand you. Not everyone needs to. You need only a few who truly see you, or even one. A single sincere bond, held with care, can soften years of silence. Closing thought. Loneliness is not a sign that you are broken. It is a sign that you are ready, ready to be seen, heard, known, and met as you are. Connection is not the opposite of independence. It is the home where independence rests. When you begin to treat your own heart with patience, kindness, and quiet honesty, you will notice something remarkable. You are no longer alone because you finally came back to yourself.